6 of the NFL season. I'm going to have to do the New Orleans-Detroit game later. That's still 52-38. That game is just taking too long, and I simply don't have the time at this point. So where are we going to start? Well, we'll start with the Miami Dolphins, a very surprising 20-17 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Miami is now 3-2, 2-1 on the road. Atlanta drops to 3-2, 1-2 at home. I'm shocked by this game. And you look at it, Jay Cutler was not particularly good in this one. 19 of 33, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Jay Ajayi was the main guy. 26 carries, 130 yards, 5 yards per rush. Jarvis Landry, top receiver, 8 of 62, 1 touchdown. Kenny Stills, 4 of 49, 1 touchdown. Julius Thomas, 3 of 22. No fumbles. 2 sacks, and Ndamukong Suh, Cameron Wake. Rashad Jones had an interception. Kenyon Drake, 2 returns, kick returns that is, for 35 yards. Jakeem Grant, 1 punt return, 8 yards. Cody Parkey, 2 for 2 in his field goals for the Falcons. Matt Ryan, 24 to 35, 248 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Devontae Freeman, 9 carries, 68 yards, 7.6 yards per rush. Tevin Coleman, 9 carries, 32 yards, 3.6 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Matt Bosher had a 1 rush for no yards, so altogether 19 of 105.3 yards per rush. Julio Jones is still yet to find the end zone, 6 of 72. Austin Hooper, 7 of 48. Marvin Hall had a 40-yard touchdown. Sherrod Niesman fumbled. It was not lost. Matt Bosher recovered a fumble. No sacks. Deion Jones had an interception. Andre Roberts, 2 kick returns, 34 yards. No punt returns. Matt Bryant, 1 for 2 in his field goals. We talked about Matt Bryant being injured coming into this game. He rarely ever misses. I don't know what the distance was on that. He made a 50-yarder, so you lose by 3 points. That's surprising. I don't know if it was at the end of the game. I did not see it. Maybe he was attempting like a 59-yarder, but he was injured. I talked about that in the preview. He was questionable to go, and he is a reliable kicker. I don't know how Miami wins this game looking at the numbers. They were -1 in the turnovers. Both teams had an interception. Matt Bosher recovered a fumble on Atlanta. So they were even in turnovers in that regard. Yeah, Jay Ajayi did run the ball for 130 yards compared to the 100 between the two guys for Atlanta. It was still better yards per rush average, but, those numbers came down with Damian Williams, 4 for 9, and Jay Cutler, 1 for -1 for the Dolphins. And Matt Ryan threw for almost 100 yards more than Jay Cutler, so the running game difference was not enough to make up for what those passing game numbers are. Jay Cutler did throw an interception. Atlanta's just a better team, so I'm really very confused by how Miami won this one. Atlanta now drops to 1-2 at home, so they got to move forward. They've got to get Julio Jones involved. Their defense wasn't that bad in this game. They only gave up 20 points. Just one of those, I must need to watch the highlights with this one because I'm shocked looking at this. Yeah, you did have the Matt Bryant field goal, but still the numbers would dictate that this game should not have come down to that. So Miami, hey, they're now 3-2. Give them credit for getting the victory in this one. Good job running the ball. Jay Cutler still a little high with his incompletions. Big news of the day. Green Bay loses to Minnesota 23-10. Aaron Rodgers' broken collarbone. He is likely out for the season. Brett Hundley came in relief, 18 of 33, 157 yards. Green Bay drops to 4-2. Minnesota moves up to 4-2. Brett Hundley, 18 of 33, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, 2 for 4, 18 yards before he went out. Aaron Jones, 13 carries, 41 yards, 3.2 yards per rush. And you know what? As a Cowboys fan, I'm just going to say this. This just shows how god-awful the Cowboys defense is. He was doing whatever he wanted last week against Dallas. Now, granted, Minnesota has a very good defensive line, but still, the Cowboys are just a terrible team. Ty Montgomery, 10 carries for 28 yards, 2.8 yards per rush. The team 24 of 72, 3 yards per rush. Jordy Nelson, 6 carries, 60 yards. Devontae Adams, 5 of 54, 1 touchdown. This is in the receiving game. Randall Cobb, 3 of 28. Clay Matthews and Brett Hundley both recovered fumbles. Both fumbled and recovered one. I don't know how Clay Matthews is fumbling and recovering. He must have scooped one up and then fumbled it again. I don't know. No sacks for the Packers. Demarcus Randall had an interception. Trevor Davis, 2 kick returns, 55 yards. That's 27.5 per carry, longest of 29, so consistent. Trevor Davis, 1 punt return for 8. Mason Crosby, 1 for 1 in his field goals. For the Vikings, Case Keenum to play. And interesting, if you're the Los Angeles Rams, you got to wonder where this was. Last year, 24-38, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Of course, here goes my computer giving me problems. Jerick McKinnon, top rusher, 16 carries, 69 yards, 4.3 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Latavius Murray, 15-28, 1.9 yards per rush. The team 33 of 112, 3.4 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Adam Thielen, 9 for 97. Laquan Treadwell, got to get him involved. This guy's done nothing since he's been drafted. 3 of 51. Treadwell had a block on a guy that was causing some problems. I thought the block was clean, but that's just me. There were a lot of bad calls today in the NFL. Kyle Rudolph, 5 for 47. Jerick McKinnon, 5 of 30. He had the touchdown. Jerick McKinnon lost a fumble. Adam Thielen fumbled. It was not lost. 4 sacks, 1 by Brian Robinson. Half by Linval Joseph, 1.5 for Harrison Smith, who's a safety, so that's impressive. Everson Griffin had the other. Harrison Smith, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes all had interceptions. Boy, that's a good secondary. Stacey Collie, I take that secondary. I take that defense on the Cowboys. I'm sorry. Stacey Collie, 1 kick return, 19 yards. Marcus Sherrills, 1 punt return, -5 yards. Kai Forbath, 3 for 3 in his field goals. Let's talk Minnesota first. Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater may be off the PUP list. So what are you going to do? Case Keenum has been much more consistent. It's been up and down at times, but a little bit more than up, or a little more up than down for Case Keenum. He's starting to really click. I think he likes this offense. So I don't know what they're going to do. You have Bradford coming back. You have Teddy Bridgewater coming back. I don't know with the trade deadline if you'd want to move one of them. Who knows? The running game, finding it with Jerick McKinnon replacing Dalvin Cook. Latavius Murray still yet to get involved. And keep an eye on that Laquan Treadwell situation. For the Packers, you're in trouble without Aaron Rodgers. There's no way around it. It's like, Tony Romo when he broke his collarbone and all those things. One of the guys, I think it was Will Kane saying it, no team is built for your starting quarterback to go down for the rest of the season. Okay, your backup quarterback at best is relied upon for a 5-game stretch to go 3-2, 2-3, keep you competitive. When you lose these guys, it's really just lights out for the season. Let's see what Green Bay can do, but their defense is not really that spectacular. They play in a pretty tough division. And you have a case now where Minnesota suddenly looks like the favorites where they weren't coming into it. And Green Bay, who knows what they're going to do. But Aaron Rodgers made up for a lot of things that defense certainly lacked. So that's a situation to keep an eye on. I'm not sure what I would be expecting from the Green Bay Packers the rest of the season. The New York Jets losing to the New England Patriots 24-17. A lot to talk about with this game. New England 4-2, 3-0 on the road. The Jets dropped to 3-3, 2-1 at home. Tom Brady 20 of 38, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Dion Lewis, top rusher, 11 carries, 52 yards, 4.7 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Mike Gillislee 10 for 44. 4.4 yards per rush. James White, 3 of 23, 7.7. The team 25 of 118, 4.7 yards per rush. Brandon Cook, 6 receptions, 93 yards. Rob Gronkowski, 6 for 83. He had 2 touchdowns. Danny Amendola, 3 for 40. Mike Gillislee lost a fumble. Kyle Van Noy, 2 sacks. Dante Hightower, 1 sack. Malcolm Brown, 1 sack. 4 total. Malcolm Brown and Devin McCourty both had interceptions. Dion Lewis had a 17-yard kick return. Danny Amendola, 3 for 20 in the punt return. Steven Gostkowski, 1 for 2 in his field goals. He's another guy who rarely ever misses. For the New York Jets, Josh McCown, 31 of 47, 354 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of them was a really bad interception at the end of the half. Really turned things around when the Jets really could have, I wouldn't have said taking control of this game, but certainly held the Patriots where they would have wanted them. Matt Forte, 9 carries, 22 yards. Elijah McGuire, 10 carries, 22 yards. Josh McCown, 3 of 21. The team altogether, 24 carries of 74 yards. Jermaine Kearse, 4 receptions, 79 yards. Robbie Anderson, 4 of 76. Jeremy Curley, 2 of 61. Matt Forte, 8 of 59. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, 8 of 46. Did have 1 touchdown. We're going to talk about Austin Seferian-Jenkins and a call in this game in just a minute. Buster Screen recovered a fumble. Austin Seferian-Jenkins lost a fumble. That goes in with that call. No sacks. Buster Screen had an interception. Ardarius stored 3 kick returns, 53 yards. Jeremy Curley 2 punt returns from -2 yards. Chandler Cantor 0, 1 for 1 in his field goals. So for the New England Patriots, their defense certainly got better. They were down. They were letting Josh McCown do whatever they wanted. They figured it out, though, and certainly got things back together. Tom Brady was making a lot of nice passes. He was high in his incompletions, but he did do a good job. There were a lot of delicate passes he had, and New England ran the ball very well. The Jets, their running game did not come to play today. They expected a lot out of Josh McCown. He got off to a hot start, but really faded late. Now, in this game, there was just a god-awful call. Austin Seferian-Jenkins caught the ball, fumbled, then fell into the end zone with the ball in his possession, and they ruled that the ball went out of the back of the end zone, gave a touchback, and that was that. They gave the touchback to the New England Patriots, and you lose by 7 points. Look, people can say, well, you get all these morons, well, if the Jets wanted to win, you don't blow a 14-0 lead. Okay, I guess, yeah, that's a good point, but the fact is you lose by 7 points. 7 points were taken off the board in this game. It was a terrible call, and I'm sorry. I see things like that, and I'm left with no other conclusion but to assume that the game is fixed. They called a touchdown on the field. There was clearly nothing to overturn it, and it was a touchdown. Okay, the guy fell out of bounds with the fumble in his hand. I don't know how you overturn that call. I don't know how you come to that conclusion, and it's one of the official replays because it's a scoring play. So very interesting there, and I don't know what to say about that, but it was a case of something that you just got to wonder what's going on when you see something like that. All right. Houston 33-17 over the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland drops to 0-6, 0-3 on the road. Houston 3-3, 2-2 at home, that is. Kevin Hogan 20 of 37, 140 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So Cleveland clearly still does not have a quarterback. Isaiah Crowell 12 carries, 58 yards, 4.8 yards per rush. Duke Johnson Jr. 5 carries for 40 yards, 8 yards per rush. Altogether, the team 22 of 134, 6.1 yards per rush, and you had Kevin Hogan go 5 for 36. 22 of 34, 6.1 yards per rush. That's the thing. Cleveland has had these running games where they run the ball very well, and I think there were even some last year, if I remember. And yet they're 1-21 since that point last year, and I guess they were 3-13 the year before. Think of how bad Cleveland has been. Carson Williams, top receiver, 4 of 41. Ricardo Lewis, 3 of 25. Bryce Teggs, 1 of 20. Isaiah Crowell, 2 of 15. Seth Davila had 2 of 9. He had the only touchdown. Kevin Hogan fumbled, was not lost. Isaiah Crowell recovered a fumble. 1 sack. It was Myles Garrett, so he's coming along nicely. Had a sack last week. Jason McCourty returned an interception, 56 yards for a touchdown. Jabril Peppers, 6 punt returns for 43 yards. Zane Gonzalez, 1 for 1 in his field goals. For the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, impressive, 17 of 29, 225 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Donta Foreman, top rusher, 12 of 59. He's coming along very well. 4.9 yards per rush. Lamar Miller, 15 of 41, 2.7. The team, 33 of 123, 3.7 yards per rush. Will Fuller, the 5th, 2 catches for 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Ryan Griffin, 3 of 52. Lamar Miller, 3 of 40. DeAndre Hopkins, 2 of 19. He had the other touchdown. 4 sacks. Ufamba Kumalu, Lamar Houston, DJ Reader, and Curtis Drummond. So no J.J. Watt, no Whitney Merciless, no problem. Then again, the Cleveland Browns, no problem. Jonathan Joseph, 2 interceptions. He returned 1 for a touchdown. I believe it was all 85 yards. It says 2 interceptions for 85 yards. I'm pretty sure he got all of them on that touchdown. Dylan Cole, 1 of 3. Chris Thompson, 2 kick returns, 38 yards. Will Fuller, the 5th, 2 punt returns, 39. Chris Thompson, 2 punt returns, 18. Kymeen Fairbairn, 1 for 1. Houston, I like what they're finding with that running game. With Donta Foreman, I'd still like to see them get DeAndre Hopkins more involved on a regular basis. He did have a touchdown in this game, but I think that they really need to develop him and move along. Very winnable division. Let's see if Houston can take it. And run with it. As we just said with Cleveland, they're just a terrible team. They have no quarterback situation, and they run the ball too well at times to be as just god-awful as they are. All right, so actually what we're going to do, we're going to stop with the 1 o'clock games for that point now, and then we'll come back in just a few minutes and finish up with them because this video went longer than I would have expected. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in a little bit.